Hi, welcome to my audio editing guide, creating effective audio using Audacity in 6 easy steps. As a singer, voiceover artist, I edit sound files all the time as part of the service I provide. The following are some of the things I've learned along the way as part of my journey, and it will hopefully make your journey a lot smoother. Step 1. Content preparation. No matter how good you are at editing audio, it all starts with the recording. The vocalist can help the sound engineer with good vocal technique and fluent delivery. Let's assume for now that you are performing the vocals. Here's what you need to know in order to help yourself later when it comes to editing the audio. Purpose and audience. Know who your audience is and why you are delivering the message. A child will not appreciate a story delivered in a monotonous and dry voice, just as an adult will get annoyed if an enthusiastic, expressive voice distracts from the visuals of an instructional video. Vocal style. Once you know the purpose of the message and its intended audience, hone your style to be both naturalistic for you but also appropriate for them. For this, you need to decide on the pacing, how fast or slow to read, the flow and rhythm of the read, and the energy. Is this a "buy now" moment or a reflective, thoughtful message? Mark the script. Read through the material and help yourself by marking where you think the text needs emphasis or where you should pause. Once you have it marked up, you are ready to deliver. Step 2. Good delivery. Now that you have read your material beforehand, here are a few tips when recording at the microphone. We will not go into home studio requirements here, but put simply, a well-padded space and a quiet environment is desirable to avoid unwanted reverb and background noises. Warm up your voice. There are plenty of techniques and warm-up videos out there, and it's worth gently stretching the vocal folds as well as the mouth before beginning to record. Drink water. Make sure you have some water to hand during the recording session, preferably warm, to help lubricate the throat. Water also helps minimize mouth noises. Microphone positioning. Be approximately a hand's span away from the microphone. Spread your hand out from your mouth to the microphone. This is a general rule. If you are talking loudly, you should back off more from the mic, and likewise, trying to get up close and personal if whispering a more personal message. Attaching a pop shield and placing it between you and the microphone is also a very useful way in catching unwanted blasts of air that could give you problems later on. The best way of avoiding distortion in the recording is to direct the mouth off-center from the microphone when talking loudly or when making plosive sounds such as T or P. Starter phrase. To avoid an over-enthusiastic attack or weak first line, try using a simple phrase to get started. This could be a single word such as "so," or a greeting like "hey there," or "hi, my name is so-and-so." This is to get your voice into gear so that it's in place from the very first word. You can repeat this whenever your voice needs a boost in the recording session. Focus on performance. I cannot state this strongly enough. When delivering the line in the recording, you are the performer, not a sound engineer. Don't try to analyze your performance until afterwards. For the duration of the recording phase, your job is to deliver the message. Remember the lessons above, but don't let them interrupt your flow as a performer. Step 3. Organize Files. This is your virtual workspace when you are recording and editing the audio. It is part of the recording phase, but also informs the audio editing phase. Remember, you are helping yourself in the future by being organized now. Quality gap. record a separate track of 5 seconds of just the silence in the studio. This way, any noise in the recording can be reduced afterwards using noise reduction if it is noticeable. This is also important when complying with ACX standard audio. Break up long audio. For longer scripts, say several hundred or thousand words, it is good to divide the audio blocks into sections. For example, you might block a page or a paragraph into each line of audio. Don't rely on just one take. I like to do 2 or 3 takes of each section of the audio so that I know what I am focusing on when editing. This can be especially useful when you cannot edit out a distorted phase or a mouth noise without disruption to the flow of the audio. With 2 or 3 takes, you can replace the corrupted section of audio with another version. Start at the end. For longer phrases especially, the best versions of the recording are often at the end, when you are naturally in your flow and not tripping up over words or phrasing. Create useful keyboard shortcuts. For tools that you will use again and again, such as equalization, normalize, compressor, and add silence, I find using keyboard shortcuts to be a real time saver. You can find this option under Edit, Preferences, then select Keyboard and find an unused keyboard shortcut for each tool. Step 4. Removing mouth noises. Now that the recordings are done and the audio lines are organized, you can start the editing process. Here are some tips of things to look out for. Close the loop. Audio sound waves are simple when you look at them. They go over and under the central line at 0 decibels in a recurring pattern until the recorded sound changes. When you hear an accidental click of some description, you want to find the moment when this happens and delete it. But to make sure the sound file doesn't sound clipped, delete just before and after the unwanted mouth noise occurs in a way that maintains the existing sound wave flow. Once you've got the hang of this, it will get easier. Shave the S. While you need to be delicate when handling most mouth noises, a jagged s or sh sound can be more abruptly shaved. Find where it spikes and take a little off to lighten the overall effect. Reduce plosive explosions. When a plosive can be heard, try reducing its effect using equalization. There's an option under Select Curve called Low Roll-Off for Speech that takes the bass off the audio, which is perfect when managing plosive effects. Compress the lively moments. When a phrase is uneven because the vocalist was either too close to the microphone or raised their voice without backing off, you can use the compressor tool to manage that volume. Highlight the section of audio where this happens, select the compressor tool, make sure the threshold is set to around 14 decibels and compress based on peaks is unticked, and select OK. Step 5. Removing breath sounds and adding silence. Unless you are delivering a dramatic character part where breaths form part of the performance, excessive breathing can quickly become distracting. Here is a tip to remove the breathing and inserting just the right amount of silence in its place. Replace with silence. Whenever you get a breath you want removed, select the gap in the audio where it occurs and select Generate, Silence, and press OK. Better still, create a shortcut that allows this to be done in just one keystroke. Reduce the silent gap. Now that the breath is gone, it may sound a little out of place. A good general rule is to reduce the silent gap by 50%. This will allow the phrase or sentence to flow without any unnecessary pause. Listen back and assess. Now that the breathing and mouth noises have been taken out of the audio, listen back to make sure it sounds right, there are no mistakes to the script, and that the gaps in between sections is sufficient without dragging on for too long. Make changes as needed. Step 6. Mixing the audio. Now that you have edited your audio, it is ready to be mixed. Here are some tips as to how you can polish off your edited audio before exporting it ready for publication. Organize into exporting format. If the client wishes for it to be a single line or file, then copy and paste the different sections you've been working on into that format, whatever makes the most sense for the client and their project. Normalize the audio. Select all audio lines and use the Normalize tool to manage the overall level of volume of the audio to bring the amplitude to a target level, which becomes the norm. Peak normalization adjusts the recording based on the highest signal level present in the recording. There is also an RMS Normalize tool you can download as a plugin for Audacity, which is similar to Normalize, except that rather than amplifying to a specific peak level, it amplifies to a specific RMS or root mean square level and adjusts the recording based on perceived loudness. For more information, please see the link below. Compress the audio. With the audio at a good overall volume, using the compression tool allows you to even out the dynamic range or the span between the loudest and softest parts of the recording. Apply the gaps. Make sure the audio has sufficient gaps at the beginning and at the end of the line or file, but also between each section, especially if you have combined lines ready for export. If the end of the file doesn't have at least a 1 second gap or 1 second of silence, some programs may clip the track on playback. Noise reduction option. If there is a level of background noise that is prominent throughout parts of the recording, you can now use the noise reduction tool. You can do this by selecting your quality gap that you created earlier on and selecting noise reduction from the effects menu. Once you've done this, select all audio files and apply the noise reduction. ACX Check option. This won't apply to every recording scenario, but if you have to meet the ACX standard for the audio in order to publish it, such as for an audiobook, then you can analyze your recorded chapter file by highlighting your audio track in Audacity. Go to the Analyze menu and select ACX Check. Then you'll get a report that will tell you the decibel measurement of your peak level, RMS level, and noise floor. For more information, please see the link below. Having gone through these 6 steps, you are now ready to export your audio files as required. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful. And if you have any questions, please do get in touch.